This is going to be a short one, but I just saw this video coming out of Charlotte County, Florida, and I had to comment about it because you constantly get criticized when you say all cops are bad. Now, why would somebody say all cops are bad? There's got to be a reason for that. And a lot of times people who are, we would call bootlickers, somebody who bows down to the authority, somebody who's been indoctrinated to such an extent that they say, you know what? We believe cops over everybody else. Cops tell the truth. Cops are here to keep us safe. And cops are who we can trust. I don't know if this is even live right now. I've never done this says, welcome to the live chat. Okay, so I guess we are live. So why would somebody say all cops are bad? Well, maybe it's for the reason that we just saw coming out of Charlotte County, Florida. You've got a cop named Timothy Poole, a 22-year veteran who did absolutely nothing to de-escalate a potentially volatile situation where a guy wasn't even threatening to harm the cop. He just had a grievance with his neighbor, and it ended with this guy in a body bag filled full of holes, unarmed, older guy too. So you got a cop, Timothy Poole, 22 years on the force, so he should have some de-escalation skills. And yet he didn't do anything to attempt to de-escalate. He puts his notepad down, grabs his taser, deploys his taser twice. The guy swipes the probes out of him. The guy's name is Daniel Birch. Daniel Birch, swipes away and then backs up. And as he's backing up, goes toward his front door. The cop pulls his service weapon on an unarmed man. After calling for backup, telling the people on the radio that this guy advanced toward him and tried to lay his hands on him, which isn't even true. So Timothy Poole, Deputy Timothy Poole, lied about it. But to add insult to injury, and this is why I want to do this, I'll probably do an extended video on this tomorrow. But to add insult to injury, you would think that cooler heads would prevail. And then once the higher ups in the sheriff's department, the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department, saw the video, they would go, wow, this is a clear case of murder. One of our officers murdered an unarmed man in broad daylight on camera. Hey, it's an open and shut case. Throw this guy in jail. No. Deputy Timothy Poole puts in his resignation, retires, is currently on paid administrative leave, and didn't spend one moment in jail. And people wonder why other people say all cops are bad. The sheriff, what's his name? Bill Prummel? Sheriff Bill Prummel said, I don't really know if we did everything right or not. Your deputy did everything wrong. And it ended with the death of a man who is unarmed. So the very head of the department has allowed a murderer to go free in Charlotte County, Florida. That's how little he cares about the community. And people wonder why other people say all cops are bad. You've got to be freaking kidding me. That doesn't even compute. I don't even understand that. You would go to jail for less if you just put your one finger on the lapel of one of these cops. You would go to jail. But as long as you're wearing a uniform, you don a badge, you come with the authority of the state, and you got the coverage of the thin blue line, all of a sudden you can do pretty much whatever you want to, up to and including ending a dude's life. And everybody sees it. So the sheriff's department conducts an internal investigation. They conclude their investigation and then turn the case over to the state's attorney. And former Deputy Timothy Poole's legal counsel says we are absolutely confident that Timothy Poole, Deputy Timothy Poole, who murdered a guy in broad daylight on camera, will be exonerated. And people wonder why people like you and me say all cops are bad. There's not one good cop in that department. And if you were a deputy in that department, you'd be like, I can't be a part of this organization. You guys are not only covering for a murderer, you're putting the entire community at risk by keeping the murderer at large. You're protecting this guy. Why? If you're knowingly protecting a murderer, what does that say about you? If a stream can rise no higher than its source, and the source is the sheriff's department, then all the deputies who are the stream downstream of that source are just as corrupt as he is. I don't even know how you could stay as a part of that department. Not and have a conscience, not and be a good person. You can stay a part of that department if you're eaten up with corruption, if you have no moral compass. If there's no good in you, you can stay a part of that department. Unbelievable. And it's only going to get worse because these police departments and sheriff's departments continue to set precedent after precedent after precedent with their vile, tyrannical actions, to the point where back in the 1970s, you had the Knapp Commission where Frank Serpico completely blew the whistle on the NYPD. And then 20-something years later, in 1994, you had the Mullen Commission that said, yep, NYPD is still involved in active police criminality. It's even worse than it was 20 years ago. And the NYPD is the biggest police force on planet Earth, not just in America. Today, it's still the biggest police force on planet Earth. So when the Mullen Commission, which is, basically it was sponsored by the state that had the state approval to investigate the NYPD, when the state comes away with the conclusion, yeah, the entire police department, NYPD, is involved in widespread, systemic, active police criminality, well, you know that the LAPD is probably the same way. The Minnesota and the Portland Police Department are probably the same way. Every place in Texas is the same way. And then you look at Uvalde and you got 376 law enforcement officers from 5 different departments. And not one of them out of 376 would even check to see if the door was unlocked to go and stop the carnage inside that classroom. Not one. And people wonder why you say all cops are bad. Well, there's not one good one in Uvalde. The Knapp Commission in the 1970s said that there's not one good cop in the NYPD. 24 years later, the Mullen Commission said there's not one good cop in the NYPD. It's the same as it was 20-something years ago. And then you got this stuff going on in Charlotte County, Florida. And you're like, wow, it's widespread, it's systemic, it's active police criminality, and these cops just don't give a frick. And they got it on camera. We can all see it. They have no shame. I don't even think they have the ability to blush anymore. They're just flaunting their evil and their corruption and their fill in the blank for every disgusting thing you can think of. And they flaunt it before our faces. They don't care. They don't give a good gosh dang. So I'll read some comments here, but that's pretty much, I had to get this off my chest because once I saw it, I was like, okay, how do we, look at that, there's a piece of gum stuck to my glasses. Oh, that's great. I put my gum on the dashboard here so I wouldn't be chewing it. It's pretty rude to be chewing gum while you're trying to talk to people. Let's see here. Claudette, welcome. Thanks for becoming a member. Yeah, let's see, what's this right here? Whoa, Mongoose just bought 5 Here's the Deal memberships, gifted them to people in the community. I really appreciate it. There's this thing going in the community where it's like, it seems like there's a bunch of discord, and I'm sure that there are some bad actors, and it's not for me to judge motives, but we can judge actions. And I don't want to get off on a different topic before I finish out with this Charlotte County, Florida thing. So let me see. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about what Sheriff Bill Plummel, is it Plummel or Prummel? I think it's Bill Prummel. What do you think about what he said about, what? We didn't really do all the things that we could have done or should have done, instead of saying, That deputy was in the wrong. That deputy murdered that man, and he is going, and the swift sword of justice shall come upon him now. I am the sheriff. The buck stops with me. This guy's going to jail, and we're going to set his bond at $2.5 million. $5 million. He murdered this guy. And we're not going to set him free so that he can be a danger to everybody else in the community, because it's my job as the sheriff to protect and serve. How are you going to say that you are consistently protecting and serving your community when you just put a known murderer out in the street without putting him behind bars? If you think I'm wrong about this, let me know. And what we're talking about, in case you're just joining, is former deputy, because he's retired now, so he can escape any kind of prosecution. Former deputy Tim Pool of the Charlotte County, Florida Sheriff's Department, and he murdered in broad daylight, because you can't slice it any other way once you see the video. He murdered in broad daylight a guy named Daniel Birch, unarmed Daniel Birch. All right, what do we got here? What's up, Steve? Anyone else would have been charged and arrested before the sun went down. Amen, Steve. Let's see. They will protect and serve the ever-loving Shiite out of us. Exactly. Who said that? Pesky. What's up for the glory of Christ? No mod speaks volumes? What does that mean? What's up, Rancho? He should be life in prison. Nothing less will do. Exactly. That would have happened to you. And that's just, right? If you, first of all, it's bad enough that you're out there saying you're protecting and serving and you do the exact opposite, but it makes it exponentially worse when your higher ups who claim the same thing. They got integrity on the side of their vehicle, will protect and serve, honor, sacrifice. I don't say it's all in word. That's all in word, because your deeds are saying something completely different. You freaking badged lunatic, psychopathic hypocrites. Oh my gosh, it burns me up so bad that I sat here and pulled over in this parking lot right here because I had to just go live. What else we got here? He intended to kill him from the start. It sure looks like it. When he put his notepad down, he was like, okay, it's on. I've been with this department 22 years. That's another thing. They should look at his file, see how many complaints this guy has against him. How many times has he abused his power? How many people are sitting in jail because of that deputy? Was Deputy Tim Pool, was he on the Brady list? I bet he was. I'm not saying he was, but I bet he was. Can you imagine? Put yourself, if you can, put yourself in Deputy Tim Pool's position, okay? Can you imagine pulling a firearm on an unarmed human being? I can't even comprehend that. If you ever pull your firearm out, it better be because your life's in jeopardy or you're saving the lives of your family or something truly drastic. That is the last step in humanity, because when you push that trigger, there is a chance you're going to send somebody to the morgue right then. I'm just, all right. So shifting gears here. Okay. There's this thing going on in the community where it seems like there's this crazy standard of, if you're not covering the topic I want you to cover, if you're not saying the things that I want you to say, if you're not exposing the people that I want you to expose, then you're a piece of shit and I'm going to expose you. That seems unfair to me. That seems unreasonable. And it comes with the caveat of, you guys out here doing these audits, you're making things worse. You're making things worse for the community. You're making things worse for society at large. You're making things worse for America. While the person who's saying that is saying you're a piece of Shiite because you're not doing things the way I want you to do them. You're not using your platform the way I want you to use it. Seems unfair. I don't have a personal beef with anybody in this community, but I know this. Things are getting so bad right now with the flock safety cameras, with the AI generated data processing centers that are sucking the electricity and the water from communities, making us pay for it. The political parasitic puppets who are writing more laws that are making us less free. The standing armies called ICE, DHS, the FBI, the ATF, just moving in on our freedoms. I know this, in this community, we better unite, and we better find something to unite on. And I think I know what we can unite on. Number one, is it ever right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong? No, it's not. Under any circumstances, on any timeline, it is never right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong. Never is. If you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments section, but I think we can unite on that. Number two, the golden rule. Do to others what you would want done to you. Conversely, don't do to others what you wouldn't want done to you. And does anybody have a higher claim over your life and property than you? The answer is no. No, there's not. So number one, is it ever right to initiate unjust force and violence on peaceful people who haven't done anything wrong? Nope. Number two, should we follow the golden rule, do to others what we want done to us? Yep, it sure is. And number three, does anybody have a higher claim over your life and property than you? Nope, they don't. If we can agree on those three things, we can change the world. Because if anybody transgresses those three tenets, they're a garbage human being, and they should be removed from society and punished because they're infringing on your rights, and infringing on your rights means infringing on your life. And if the founding fathers thought it was essential to pledge their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor, and I think that's a noble thing to do for freedom and for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, then that should be safeguarded at all costs. So can we unite on those things? Put a 1 in the room if you think we can. If you don't think we can, put a 2 in the room, and I'll take a look at the 2s and put a 2 and the reason why you don't think we should unite on those things. Otherwise, everything else is just fluff. You don't have to, if you have a platform or you don't have a platform, you don't have to pick the topics that I'm picking. You know what I view, if we have a community here, you know what I view the community as? I view the community as a unit, like a human body. Is every single person in the human body an ear? Is everybody an Achilles tendon? Is everybody a heart? Is the heart going to say to the lungs, because you don't pump blood, I don't have any use for you. You're a piece of crap. All you do, you're just the respiratory system. What are you? So when I see people in the community saying things like, and it's outrageous to me. It's outrageous. It's unreasonable. I don't think people are thinking this thing through. I don't know. Maybe they're going through things. We're all on a journey. Maybe there's something that this person has to go through. I don't know. But it just seems like they're picking fights with people. Now, if you have a reasonable, logical complaint against me, you think I'm on the wrong path or I'm doing the wrong thing or I'm being a hypocrite or whatever, hey, lay it on me, man. I am open to constructive criticism. And I think anybody who has a heart for liberty and truth and love and compassion and the love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, if you have any heart for any of that stuff right here and you're a truly good person, you would say the same thing. Whoa, if I'm missing something, because I could tend to traipse through life and be tone deaf, I'm correctable. I'm an imperfect human being like we all are. So if in my journey I'm doing something wrong and you spot it and I can't, and I'm blind, I've got blind spots, and we all do, and we all got to cleanse ourselves of those, then lay it on me. I'm more than willing to listen. But if somebody calls you a piece of Shiite or says you're a hypocrite and doesn't bring anything substantial into the ring so that we can look at it, dissect it, talk about it, and clear the air, I don't think that person's being genuine. You don't have to pick topics that correspond with the topics that I would pick. You don't have to expose the people that I expose. Like I don't hear a lot of people talking about, man, I tell you what, we need to institute sound money. All we have is a fiat currency petrodollar Ponzi scheme that's about to crash and has been crashing for a long time, and they're just extending it. But man, when you can get to the bottom of who owns the value and the issuance of the currency, you get to the bottom of a lot of criminal activity and the funding of a lot of criminal activity, and you can eradicate a whole lot of evil by instituting a sound money system, eliminating and eradicating the IRS, getting the income tax burden off of every American's back, and release every single American from property taxes. If you do those four things, those are the biggest things I can think about. Because once you pull the fiat currency rug out from under the politicians, there's no more money or funding for war. They're going to have to bring all those troops home. They're going to have to do the right things. They're going to have to stop the drug war. They'll no longer be able to fund the prison industrial complex or the military industrial complex. We're not going to be able to give $3.9 billion a year to Israel. You take away that funny money, you remove a whole lot of evil. But just because you're not talking about the Federal Reserve doesn't mean you're not talking about things that are worth talking about. Just because you're not exposing the things I'm exposing doesn't mean you're not exposing the right things in your neck of the woods. Not every part of the body is a kneecap. You need your kneecaps. You need your Achilles tendon. Try to walk through life with one Achilles tendon missing. You're going to have a really hard time. But just because you're not an Achilles tendon and you're just a taste bud. You're just a tongue. You're just a nose. I don't need you. I'm an Achilles tendon. You're being foolish. Okay, you're being foolish. So I think cooler heads and reasonable heads prevail. And I don't think it's a good idea to start talking smack about all these auditors out there. Because like I said, with the advent of AI, with the political parasites writing more laws that make us less free, with the fiat currency Ponzi scheme petrodollar about to crash, and the tyranny that's just been unleashed on the American soil with ICE and the ATF and the FBI and the cover up at the Charlie Kirk thing, and you got the pedo blackmail ring, the PDF files being protected by the current administration and the past administration. I think we got way bigger fish to fry than to get on a 3, 4, 5 hour live stream talking smack about people that you don't even know for no reason. Gotta go team, says Saint Earth. Thanks for that $10 super chat. I really appreciate it. If you guys think I'm off base about that, I know you know who I'm talking about. We all got our flaws, but I really think that we all need to be standing together, doing the right thing, being about the business of being right people. Because, man, what did Samuel Adams say? He said, no people will tamely surrender their liberties, nor can any be easily subdued. When knowledge is diffused and virtue is preserved. That's the important thing. You got to diffuse true knowledge and you got to preserve virtue. On the contrary, when people are universally ignorant and debauched in their manners, they will sink under their own weight without the aid of foreign invaders. You want to sink into the quicksand? You don't need anybody's help. Just lose your virtue. Just crush your moral compass. That's the surest way to end everything. That's the surest way to completely infect the gene pool of humanity. And I'm kind of seeing that happen as this one person that I'm particularly talking about disintegrates and implodes. You know who I'm talking about. So anyway, take the high road. Remember, the price of freedom is now and will always be eternal vigilance. And because we haven't been eternally vigilant is the reason we've lost a lot of our freedoms. It's the reason certain politicians are in control. It's no measure of good mental health to be considered well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And I'll tell you what, we are in a profoundly sick society. And you know who the sickos are. Hey guys, I really appreciate you being here, dropping by. This was an impromptu thing, but I had to get it off my chest what's going on in Charlotte County. Thanks for being here. I didn't really even expect 2 people to show up, let alone 400 people. So I appreciate you being here. I don't even know how to end this live stream. I've never done this in vertical. How do you end the live stream? I don't know. Appreciate you guys. I'll try to just hit this X up here. 25 minutes. That's a lot of gum flapping. All right, guys. I appreciate you. Take care. Take care of each other. Take care of your families. And love truth. Take care.